Hi, Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor Community Connection, and we've got a great show for you today. And first of all, superstar Terry Crosby on my far left, and the guests that we really are interested in speaking to today, a very talented young lady who's done some remarkable things in the business community. Meredith Soleau with 424, right?
Yes, 424 degrees.
424 degrees. And, before we go too far, Meredith, I want to, we were chatting off air, I'd like to put it on air. Because I was always curious about the name, 424 degrees. I was thinking about it last night. Well, what can that be? At first I was thinking like 24/7 and turn sideways and we're there or whatever. But you have a great story about it. Tell the story.
So I wanted to start this advertising agency for car dealerships, and I was selling cars at the time. And my boss knew I wanted to do this, but we were standing around talking, and he was like, "So what are you going to name this company?" And I was like, "I don't know. I want it to be like something cool." And he was like, "Well, what about the temperature when paper spontaneously combusts?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's it." So, I'm a car salesman, not a scientist. So I just Googled what that temperature would be. And you guys, you cannot believe everything you read on the internet, because I named it 424 degrees. It's actually 451 degrees. There's a whole book about this called Fahrenheit 451. So we always joke that our advertising agency is super hot, but you might have to have one newspaper ad a year, just one. But we've got you covered.
But Meredith, you're so authentic, because a lot of people wouldn't tell the story. I mean, they wouldn't. I love that, the fact that, well, this is what I was going for. This is what it really
swing
is.
And a miss.
Yeah. No, but it's a swing, and it actually is a hit.
It is a hit.
Because you're willing to put yourself out there and tell that story.
I didn't even know until 3 years into business when some guy was like, I think it's 451. And I was like, what?
And that was a pretty good movie, Fahrenheit 451. Meredith, also I wanted to ask you, I enjoy your posts because you're always being you, but you posted one day about somebody asked you a question about business or starting a business, and you wrote a diatribe about starting a business, which I found so inspirational, because so many people told you, you're on 10 years now with 424 degrees.
Yep, we've been in business a long time.
You wrote this diatribe saying, everybody told me not to do it, it won't be successful, it won't work. All the can't people are out there telling you this, but you didn't listen to them.
No,
what made you go straight ahead and say, I'm doing this?
Well, it's hard when your parents are saying you shouldn't do something that is too risky, because your parents, they just have your best interest at heart, and they're protective of you. So I even faced some feedback from them that it wasn't a good idea to start a social media agency. Now, this was 10 years ago, guys, so definitely Facebook ads were a thing, it was happening, but it wasn't popping off the way it is today. But I just saw this huge need for this, because I was starting to get booked to speak at all these car conferences about how we sell cars on Facebook. And so I knew that the dealers wanted it, and there was definitely a need for it. So sometimes when you see a need in the market like that, you just need to embrace it at that time, because now everybody and their brother wants to be a social media manager. But we've been in business for 10 years, and we have access to tools that these up and comers don't have access to, because they just haven't built their business for as long as I've built the business. So if you see a market need, I always think you should just jump right into it, head first, and go for it, because if you're making money and you're providing a quality service for your customer, that's business 101. So go where the need is, and start now, start today, because if you're an early adapter to any sort of new technology or anything going on, you're going to be light years ahead of everyone else by the time they get there.
And one of the things I'm really impressed with you about is your passion for what you do.
Oh, I love it.
And now you're so impactful when you post things on social media. And I love that. You are a people's person. You know what I mean? Where does that come from? Because you're just so positive. I love your posts myself. Every time I see if I do one or two things. I either crack up laughing or I push the love button. So where does that come from?
I've always been kind of an entertainer, so I think social media is I didn't get to become a famous country music star, but darn it, I have Facebook.
There's still time, Meredith. There's still time for that.
I know. I think there's a little ego involved in that, but also from an influencer standpoint, my company is social media marketing, right? And I always find it odd when people are selling social media services to people, but they can't grow an audience themselves. So I like it that a lot of my leads for business do come in this way, because I do influencer work on the internet. but I also believe in authenticity. So I'm not going to
That's the key.
ever step out of who I am as a person. And if people don't like that, that's all right. People aren't going to like you anyway, so who cares? Just find your tribe of people that do like you and talk to them.
And you know what? I think that's really, really positive, that you are so authentic. You're really right.
Yeah.
You know, there are some things that I read that you post, and I'm like, no, she did not.
I just say what we're all thinking, but out loud.
You know, can you give me and Cross maybe 3 things that you've learned? You know, I always like to look forward to helping people that have talent like you, that everyone has a business or a book or something they think they can do. But somebody who's going to start a business, and you've already given them the upfront if there's a market for it, right? But 3 things that you learned along the way to do or not to do so they'd have some understanding.
So the first thing I learned was I only learn lessons the hard way. Okay. So the first thing I learned was I did it too long by myself. I needed a team to make this go further. And you can't just be everything to everybody. It's not good service to your customer. You're going to give your customer better service if you've got a whole team of people doing it. The second thing I learned was how to properly manage a team. I mean, I was kind of a disaster as a boss for a little bit, because when it's your baby and you own that company, you take things incredibly personally. This is your entire lifeblood. And you know, my husband works for me too, so we've got everything in this thing. So I had to learn how to speak properly to my employees and treat them better too, because this is a great job and they love working here, but at the end of the day, it's not their passion, it's not their entire life like it is mine that's taken over. And then I think the third thing that I've learned along the way is you have to make profitable decisions, and sometimes that's not always the easiest decision to make. But if your business is going to survive, sometimes there's hard things that have to get done that you're not going to want to do, but you got to do it anyway because it's the right thing to keep open.
You know, and that's such good advice, Meredith. I'm curious. You and Sean's a very talented, your husband, very talented young gentleman who we see in here on occasion. You two work so well together. But you work together all day. You know where I'm going with this. You know, you work together all day and you do a great job, and then you go home at night and it's suddenly, hey, we're still here together. Was that an adjustment? Was that tough? How did that go?
Well, Sean's my best friend. So I think you have to start there in your marriage. We've always had a really solid foundation for our marriage, but when we brought him into the business, the first few years were definitely incredibly difficult. Like, no doubt about that. We fought all the time. So we had to think about like ways to not just be work robots, because for me, I get slam dunks at work all day. This is my favorite topic. We could talk about work all day long, but like my relationship that's suffering because I just want to talk about work all the time, not as fun. So we had to like make a weekly date night. So we go on a date every single week, no matter what. And it'll either just be the two of us, or we have a group of friends that we'll go out on like double dates and stuff with. But when we go on the date, we don't talk about work. So we try to talk about just like life or future plans. We love to travel. We're always planning a new trip. So like we spend a lot of time like planning like your next little trip we're gonna take. But it gives you something to look forward to that's not just like work, grind. You have to be like a real couple together and have other goals with each other besides just work goals.
And I'm just really so impressed. You guys are so successful as a husband and wife business. I mean, you really, really are. And that's
he knows I'd kill him. I think that's part of it. He knows how crazy I am.
I mean, that's a very difficult thing to do.
It is.
As you just said, Tom, you know, you're doing things all day together. You know what I mean? Some things you're agreeing with, other things you're not. Right?
Well,
and Sean, Meredith means it, okay? I'm just telling you that right now.
No, he knows. We disagree all the time at work.
And then you're taking that home. You know what I mean? So congratulations.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to check it at the door. We're trying now to get into the next level of our business. Everyone works from home, so it is constantly like, where's the divider between work and home? Because I can work 24 hours a day if I really want to. So now we're looking for some commercial real estate. We're starting to move into the next level of our business, where hopefully we'll have a place like in downtown Toledo or something like that, like the big agencies. But we're pushing up to 20 employees now, so it's time to kind of make that next move in business.
What's interesting, Meredith, you know, and Cross knows this, we've talked to a lot of coaches and who coach their own kids in a sport, right? I mean, like say in high school. And that's intense, you know, because you got it at home, you got it at work, you know. And a lot of the coaches said they had a driveway rule. So when they pull into the driveway and they bring the kid home from practice, the coach, when they get out of the car, walk into the house, it's done. There's no talking about the sport, the game, practice. It's over, the driveway rule. And so there just has to be a little bit of a separation there. you know.
Right.
Meredith, I'll tell you what, on behalf of Taylor Automotive family, we appreciate all you've done for us.
Yeah, you're my favorite client. I love working with you guys.
You are a ball of energy, wisdom, and you certainly know the media, and 424 Degrees is such a success. 10 years and growing. Yeah. Congratulations to you and Sean.
Thank you for all you've done for us.
There was just one other thing, too, if you don't mind, I wanted to mention. She's also a fashionista, too. I mean, you know, on social media platforms, right?
I'm not sure what fashionista is, Cross.
You gotta show your outfit
I'm not
of the
that
day.
smart.
No.
I'm worried about fashionista.
You're a fashionista. You should start showing your outfit of the day.
Hey, do you have a clothing line now?
I wish I did, but I don't.
Well, what Cross is getting to, Meredith, is you're extraordinarily talented young lady. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here. And thanks for all Taylor has done for us as a company,
You're
too.
great. You're great. You're great to us.
Thank you.
Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor Community Connection.